I'm Silver Shady as I'm the real Shady. All the other Silver Shadies are just imitating. So I'm the real Silver Shady. Please stand up. Please stand up. Please stand up. I'm Silver Shady as I'm the real Shady. All the other Silver Shadies are just imitating. So I'm the real Silver Shady. Please stand up. Please stand up. Please stand up.
Oh, ho, ho. Hey guys, Silver Shady here, back with another expanded format video for you. Today we are going to be going over the fire type in expanded and the support it has. A couple things, as always, to bring up. First off, for the most part, I'm going to be avoiding talking about the actual Pokemon themselves. I'm mostly going to be focusing on trainer cards and energy cards. Just because, again, there are a ton of cards in the expanded format, and if I were to bring up all the Pokemon, we'd be here all day. So all these cards are going to be referencing the fire type in some way, shape, or form, whether or not it is reducing their damage, dealing more damage to them, or directly supporting a fire type deck. This will be a more comprehensive list of the trainer cards that relate to the fire type. Same thing with the energies. We won't be talking about things like the rainbow or the unit energies. Those are going to be for a different video later on. As before, we're going to have pricing right around over here and an image of the card right over here. Let's get to it. So to start off our list, we're going to be talking about the only Pokemon I have featured on this list today, which is Volcanion EX. Volcanion EX came out in the XY Steam Siege expansion. It is 180 HP, Pokemon EX. Interestingly, Volcanion is one of the few dual-type Pokemon in the expanded format. Volcanion himself being fire and water type. One of the reasons why Volcanion has been so versatile. Weak to water, 3-star retreat cost, and it has an attack called Volcanic Heat. For 2 fire and 1 colorless energy, it does 130 damage. And this Pokemon can't attack during your next turn. Biggest reason to play Volcanion, however, is for its Steam Up ability. Steam Up says, once during your turn, you may discard a fire energy card from your hand. If you do, during this turn, the attacks of your basic fire-type Pokemon do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon, before applying weakness and resistance. So if you're running a basic fire-type deck, Volcanion may be a good idea to include to help you hit those numbers that you need to hit. The Steam Up ability naturally stacks, so if you had 4 Volcanion EX in play, you discarded 4 fire energy cards from your hand, you add 120 damage to your attack, which is a significant number. It's why one of the biggest reasons why Volcanion was such a potent deck when it came out and stayed relevant all the way up until it rotated. So just wanted to bring Volcanion to your attention, that way you are aware. Alright, so now we're going to get into our supporters, and for this, I'm going to kind of go more in line with when they released, as opposed to how useful they are. As I mentioned at the top of this video, I'm showing you every fire-type related card, not necessarily how useful they are in each fire-type deck, but to give you every option for trainers and tools, items, and energy for the fire-type if you're building a fire-type deck or if you need to counter them. So we'll start off with the supporter cards, and first off the list we have Blacksmith. Blacksmith is a supporter card that was originally released in the XY Flashfire expansion. It saw play when it came out. Its effect says, attach 2 fire energy cards from your discard pile to one of your fire-type Pokemon. Naturally, this can help you get the energy acceleration for higher energy requirement Pokemon to be able to swing sooner. So Blacksmith is a great option for that. And for our next supporter, we have Kiawe. If I'm mispronouncing that, sorry, but yeah. Kiawe was a supporter card that came out in the Burning Shadows expansion. Yet another Charizard expansion. I think we see a theme here. But its effect says, search your deck for up to 4 fire energy cards and attach them to one of your Pokemon. Then shuffle your deck. Your turn ends. So once you play Kiawe, your turn is over. However, it does allow you to get a huge jump start in the energy race. early game if you manage to use it. Next up, we have Welder, coming in from the Unbroken Bonds expansion, I believe. It was a supporter card, as all the others were before it. And it says, attach up to 2 fire energy cards from your hand to one of your Pokemon. If you do, draw 3 cards. So not only does this allow you the energy acceleration, but it also will allow you to draw additional cards to help further along your turn. So another really good option there. And next up, we have the Masked Royal. I do not recall which set this is from, but it'll be right here. Masked Royal says, attach a basic energy card from your hand to one of your Stage 2 Grass, Fire, or Water type Pokemon. So not quite as powerful as something like Welder, but if you have a Stage 2 deck, that runs, of course, Grass, Fire, and Water types, or 2 of the 3. It might be a good idea to include, that way it allows you that extra energy acceleration. Next up, we have Blaine's Last Stand. Blaine's Last Stand is a supporter card that is a little bit interesting. It is one of a few that have the stipulation that you can only play this card when it is the last card in your hand. However, its effect is draw 2 cards for each fire type Pokemon you have in play. So this can be a ton of draw power, especially when you combine it with a full bench of fire type Pokemon with Skyfield out. This can net you 16 cards, very similar to Chorus. Naturally, that's not the easiest thing to do, but it is worth keeping in mind that this is an option. Next up, we have Kindler. Kindler is a supporter card released in the Brilliant Stars expansion. Didn't see much play in Standard, but it might have a place in Expanded if you so need it. Its effect says that you can only use this card if you discard a fire energy card from your hand. You look at the top 7 cards of your deck, choose 2 of them and put them in your hand, and shuffle the rest back in. So it essentially gets you any 2 cards you want off the top of your deck at the cost of discarding a fire energy, which, as we brought up before, isn't as much of a problem with fire-type decks as with others. And rounding out the bottom of our supporters, and certainly, I would argue, the least playable of them, is Candela, originally released in the Pokemon Go expansion. Candela says, draw 2 cards. If you drew any cards in this way, you flip a coin. If heads, you attach a fire energy card from your discard pile to one of your benched Pokemon. I personally detest anything that requires you to flip a coin. So rather than using this, I would prefer to use something like Welder or Blacksmith, where it guarantees me the energy, as opposed to this, where there's only a chance of getting it, and you only get 2 cards off it. So, I would argue not very playable, but it is there if we want it. Alright, starting off our Stadium cards, we are going to start with Parallel City, originally released in the XY Breakthrough expansion. Anyone who saw my previous list is going to recognize this card, as this was one of the cards that was featured on that list. When you play this card, you as the player get to choose which way it faces, either this way or this way. The player that the blue side is facing cannot have any more than 3 benched Pokemon. That is the primary reason why people play this card. I wanted to bring it up with the Fire-type deck, however, because if you play it the way most people do, you are going to have to worry about the red side effect. The red side says the player that the red side is facing, the attacks of their Grass, Fire, or Water Pokemon is reduced by 20 damage before applying weakness and resistance. So while Volcanion will boost your damage, Parallel City will drop it. Not by a considerable amount, but it is worth keeping in mind if you choose to run Parallel City in your Fire-type deck to counter things like, say, Skyfield or Silent Lab or other effects that you may not want to see. Just important to keep in mind. Next up, we're going to talk about Scorched Earth, originally released in the Primal Clash expansion from X and Y era. Scorched Earth says that once during each player's turn, that player may discard a fire or a fighting energy card from their hand. If that player does, they draw 2 cards. So this can give you some additional draw power at the cost of discarding energy, which again works in tandem with cards like Blacksmith, which we brought up earlier, which allow you to accelerate from the discard pile. So, important to keep in mind. Next up, we have Altar of the Sun. Now, originally, this card didn't see a whole lot of play. However, Water type is a very prevalent type in the expanded format, which is why I think this is a better card than it used to be. This states that Fire-type Pokemon and Steel-type Pokemon have no weakness. If you run into a lot of Water-type decks in your area, it may be worth including an Altar of the Sun. Alright, next up, we have the Stadium card, Giant Hearth. The Stadium states that once during each player's turn, they may discard a card from their hand. If they do, that player searches their deck for up to 2 Fire Energy cards, reveals them, and puts them into their hand, then shuffles their deck. Essentially, it is a Fire-type Earthen Vessel in Stadium form. Next up, we have Magma Basin from the Brilliant Stars expansion. This card says that once during each player's turn, they may attach a Fire Energy card from their discard pile to one of their benched Fire-type Pokemon. If they attach an energy card in this way, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. This is really good for cards that like to be damaged in order to deal more damage. A couple of recent examples of this would be the Moltres from Brilliant Stars and Radiant Heatran from Astral Radiance. Alright, and then rounding out the bottom of our Stadium cards, we have Wheela Volcano Park. This doesn't necessarily relate so much to the Fire type as it does the Burned special condition, which is very common with Fire type Pokemon. This card says that whenever a player flips a coin for the special condition Burned between turns, that special condition isn't removed even if the result is heads. Alright, now we're going to be moving on to our tool cards. Unfortunately, I do not have physical copies of this card, so we're going to be showcasing them here. That way you can read along with me. And the first of these is Fire-Resistant Gloves, originally released in the Chilling Rain expansion. Fire-Resistant Gloves says that the attacks of the Pokemon this card is attached to do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Fire-type Pokemon. So this is less a card to assist the Fire type than it is to work against them, as I mentioned at the top of this video. And for our next one, and the only other tool we have on this list, we have Burning Scarf. This came out with the Vivid Voltage expansion of Sword and Shield. And it should be noted, this card has great synergy with Wheela Volcano Park, which I brought up just a little bit ago. It says the Fire-type Pokemon this card is attached to, if it is in the active spot and damaged by an opponent's attack, even if it is knocked out, the attacking Pokemon is now burned. With Wheela Volcano Park in play, that burn condition sticks around a little bit longer, so it is a bit of a combo that you can use if you so choose. Alright, now we are going to get into our item cards. We have Fiery Torch. Fiery Torch is an item card that says discard a Fire Energy card from your hand. If you can't discard a Fire Energy card from your hand, you can't play this card. But it allows you to just draw 2 cards. So you discard a Fire Energy, draw 2. Really useful and a really good accelerator for Fire-type decks. We're actually going to leave that in frame because this card actually works in conjunction with the other 2 I'm about to bring up. So we'll leave that right here for you. Next up, we have Fiery Flint. Fiery Flint says that you can only play this card if you discard 2 other cards from your hand. But it allows you to search your deck for 4 Fire Energy cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. So it's, in one card, it is a double Earthen Vessel. And then lastly, we have Fire Crystal. Fire Crystal says put 3 Fire Energy cards from your discard pile into your hand. So Fiery Flint lets you search them out, Fiery Torch allows you to discard them to get more cards, and Fire Crystal brings them all back to your hand so that you can attach them with things like Welder, if you so choose. Just a really nice combo of cards we have right here. Alright, next up we have 2 special energy cards. Starting out our list, we have Burning Energy. originally released in X and Y Breakthrough. This card can only be attached to Fire-type Pokemon. This card provides Fire Energy only while it is attached to a Fire-type Pokemon, and if this card is attached to anything other than a Fire-type Pokemon, discard this card. If this card is discarded by an attack of the Fire-type Pokemon this card is attached to, attach this card from your discard pile to that Pokemon after attacking. So it's essentially boomerang energy for Fire types specifically. And then for our other special energy card for the Fire type, we have Heat Fire Energy. As long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, it provides Fire Energy. And the Fire-type Pokemon this card is attached to gets plus 20 HP. So it can help you kind of beef up your Fire types if you choose to run this card. Should be noted, it does not have synergy with things like Fiery Torch or anything else, because a special energy card does not provide a specific type of energy until it is attached to a Pokemon, so you can't accelerate it with things like Magma Basin or anything like that. So just keep that in mind if you choose to run it. So now we are going to get into our Prism Star cards. As I mentioned in the last video, Prism Star cards typically are very type specific, where they only relate to, say, Evolution Pokemon, Ultra Beasts, or one specific type. That's why I didn't go over them in the last video. However, we are doing a type-specific video today. The 3 Prism Stars we're going to be going over today are Victini Prism Star, Heat Factory Prism Star, and Lysander Prism Star. Now, it should be noted, these are rule box Pokemon for the Prism Star Pokemon themselves. Their rule is that, number 1, you can't have any more than a single copy of a Prism Star card with the same name in your deck. What this means is that, unlike Ace Specs, you can run all 3 of these if you choose to in your Fire-type deck. However, you can't run more than 1 copy of each. The second rule about the Prism Star cards is that once they're discarded by any method, they go to the Lost Zone instead of the discard pile. So once they're gone, they are gone for good. And we will start with Victini Prism Star here. 90 HP, basic Fire type, weak to water with a 1-star retreat cost. Victini Prism Star has the attack Infinity, which is the reason you would play it, for 2 Fire Energy cards. This attack does 20 damage for each basic energy card in your discard pile. Then, shuffle those cards back into your deck. So late game, this can be a super powerful attack, with the added recovery aspect of it, too. So, very good card here. Next up, we have Heat Factory, Prism Star. It is a Stadium card, and it says, once during each player's turn, that player may discard a Fire Energy card from their hand. If they do, they draw 3 cards. Now, it should be noted, the Heat Factory Prism Star Stadium card has an additional effect, something shared by all of the Prism Star Stadiums. This additional effect says that whenever any player plays an item or supporter card from their hand, prevent all effects of that card done to this card. So this means that cards like Worker or Field Blower cannot discard Heat Factory from play. The only way to get rid of it would be either playing another Stadium card or an effect of an attack such as Lugia V-Star's Tempest Dive. Now, one thing I would like to draw attention to with this is a card that I mentioned last time, which is Barrier Shrine Ninetales. With Barrier Shrine Ninetales in play, your opponent can't play Stadium cards, and their items and supporters would have no effect on Heat Factory if you choose to play it. What this means is that their only way to get rid of it would be an effect of an attack, such as Lugia V-Star. So that is a combo to keep in mind, is that Ninetales can help with Heat Factory. It also helps that Ninetales, being a Fire type, has access to all of the support that we've mentioned earlier in this video. So, something to keep in mind. Alright, and then we come to our final card of this list. We have the supporter Lysander Prism Star. This card says that for each of your Fire-type Pokemon in play, put a card from your opponent's discard pile in the Lost Zone. Now, on the surface, this may not seem very important because you're taking from the discard pile, not the Lost Zone. However, let's keep in mind cards that we brought up earlier, or I should say in our last video. So, I will showcase the cards on the bottom here that I think make Lysander Prism Star a very valuable card to have. These would namely be Propagation Execute, a card that we discussed on our previous video. If you want to learn more about any of these 4 cards, you can reference the previous video we did. There is Versus Seeker. We have Special Charge for Lugia V-Star decks. And we have Life Dew. Now, these are some cards that you may see. These two, you will 100% see. Special Charge, you will see if you're facing Lugia V-Star. And then Life Dew, again, is just a really powerful ace-spec. That is a good choice if you don't need any of the other 3, as I mentioned in my previous expanded format video. With Lysander Prism Star, if you use it at the right time, you can stop the cycle of Propagation Execute. You can take away the supporter that they need on their next turn. You can put Lugia's powerful colorless energy cards from their discard pile into the Lost Zone, which means that they can't use it anymore, and they can't blow you up as much. And then lastly, you can stop the infinite loop of Life Dew, reducing the prize cards you take. All of this is enabled by the use of Lysander Prism Star. So it is a very powerful card, and I honestly think it should be included in any fire-type deck you build because of how good it is. Alright, and that is the list for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this video and were able to learn something from it if you were planning on building a fire-type deck in expanded format. There are other types and other archetypes that I do plan on making videos for, so if you have a specific one that you want to see next, just drop a comment down below. I will take it into consideration. Another thing, as before, we'll have the ban list for expanded format in the description below. One thing I should note about that ban list is there were a couple of comments on the last video about TCG Live's expanded beta format. That ban list applies to both expanded formats, whether the unfinished beta on TCG Live or the physical expanded format, which has more sets in it. The ban list applies to both. So just keep that in mind as you're building the expanded format, to make sure you reference the ban list so you don't accidentally include cards that are on that ban list. Should be noted that every single card that is featured in my videos are not banned from the expanded format. I am not including banned cards in my lists. I may do a separate video later on explaining all the banned cards and why they're banned or how they got banned. But generally speaking, if you are using cards from any of the lists that I make on expanded, they will not be banned as of the recording of that video. Of course, if they ban a card later on in the future, well, can't retroactively do anything about that, but you get the idea. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, and you feel like dropping a like, that would be awesome. But anyway, guys, I will see you in the next one.